Hey everyone, I'm about to teach you how to make a regressive video. Okay, the first thing you're going to need, and unfortunately I do not own a pair of these, because see, I have these very cheap, but in somewhat close to a nice style of frames. They're round, they're actually cover my whole eyes, and they're very nice and light. Now, if you want to be a regressive, you actually have to get plastic horn-rimmed glasses, and it's even better if you don't actually have impaired vision and you just wear them with the plain plastic lenses, because a reason we're going to get into soon. This is the only shirt I really have that approaches a regressive type shirt. Very often polos with horizontal stripes are among some of the more classier options. Of course, usually they come in pastel colors, and unfortunately I don't own anything in like periwinkle blue or sunbeam yellow. And the other thing is you gotta wear stuff that is from bands whose style and aesthetic mimic metal music, but they're actually really gay, hipster crap like Panic at the Disco or My Chemical Romance. You gotta have one of those band shirts, and usually if you're that kind of hipster, you also gotta have gauge earrings. You gotta cut a hole in your ear and then put this plastic ring in there that slowly deforms your ear. The next thing is you gotta have a patchy, unkempt beard. Now, I usually kind of shave this part, but I do actually have a patchy, unkempt beard, so I got that covered. I'm currently regrowing my mustache. That's why I have a pedo stash, which is actually pretty common in a progressive beard style. So I'm right on the point there. The next thing is you actually, whether you're balding or not like I am, you actually have to gel and hairspray your hair in this kind of neo-Hitler Youth style, or slick it way back, and it's got to be long on the top and short on the sides. The next thing is you need to have, I don't have any of these, I used to have like an old Livestrong wristband from before the doping scandal with, who's that guy who always won the Tour de France, something Armstrong. Anyway, you gotta have some of that, or some weird bracelet, or one of those watches that it's a watch, but it's on a leather band, and they're, really gay. But the next thing that's really interesting here is you got to have a specific mode of speech. Now, most of you have probably seen a takedown video of somebody named Riley Dennis. All current progressive talkers, especially the douches on Vox, a lot of times any kind of presenter who's covering something from the Huffington Post, and very frequently sort of less combative feminists will talk in this very specific mode of speech. And the way you do is you talk pretty monotone, except for there's one intonational difference. I'll give you an example sentence. Now, in 1937, when the Nazis were rising up in Nazi Germany, they... Oh, fuck, I didn't even know where I was going with that. I was improvising. But the trick is to, while you're talking in your sentence, you slowly build up in the middle into a high intonation and then come back down to something low at the end. And you do this over and over and over again until your speech becomes droning. So here, I'll try to continue on in that intonation. Where was we going? Okay, the next thing you need to do now is to, when you're talking about conservatives, to always call all of them a Nazi or a white supremacist or a white nationalist in order to demonize them. Now, the other thing I'm too lazy to do is the regressives are absolutely incapable of continuing a thought. Most of them cannot complete a sentence without a jump cut. Now, I am way too lazy to use editing software, so I did this thing where I can form coherent arguments all in a single take. I may stutter here, put an there, and I totally forgot, in order to do that really weird, monotone conversational piece where I'm talking very droning about stuff, but towards the middle, I do a high intonation, perhaps when I'm talking about something important, like when I say the word Nazi, and then I come back down, way down. The last thing is you need to have this perpetual social anxiety face. You need to, no matter where your camera's positioned, my camera's actually positioned down from me. Most of the regressives will actually position their camera above them, kind of aiming down at them, but they'll still hunch their shoulders and lean forward like this, like they're talking down to somebody. And then they look up into the camera so you can see a little bit too much of the whites in their eyes. And they have this perpetual kind of half smile like this. This is what's called the regressive face. It's the face of somebody who's very socially awkward and uncomfortable but trying to be nice. Hi, so here is how you look and sound like a regressive. I may not have dressed like one today, but I can tell you that I can talk like one and think like one. And the answer is never ever absorb any information outside of your circles. There is a reason why every regressive, progressive, social justice warrior, or intersectional specialist, whatever these kinds of feminists are, there's one thing that they always are, which is in an echo chamber. Not a single one of them has ever really done any reading on the arguments of their opponents, which is why they always lie. Remember, one of the slogans of this channel is all progressives do is lie. But it's not always a knowing lie. In fact, it's probably more accurate to just say they never tell the truth. And most of the time, it's because they can't. All it takes is one regressive outlet, whether it's Wall Street Journal, Huffington Post, Washington Post, anything on most of CNN, all of MSNBC. If one of them produces a smear against anybody to the right of them, which is everybody but them, because these people are the radical left, and if they say something that's not true, that will spread to every single article. Now, this is a problem with all news media, very frequently conservative media too, very frequently. Not as much as regressives, not as much as centrists or liberals, but every news media is usually plagiarizing. Almost all of them report on somebody else's story. Somebody way off in the fucking distance actually broke the story, or fabricated it, more like. And then everybody plays a game of Chinese whispers, or if you're an American, telephone, where they repeat, and the story deforms and morphs and changes and degrades as they copy each other in a constant stream of plagiarism, where the only difference between the initial person who broke this story is either A, whatever the regressive exaggerates, B, whatever the regressive accidentally misinterprets or just outright gets wrong, or C, the majority of what a regressive is saying is pure op-ed punditry with no reporting of facts whatsoever. Now, you can be guaranteed, if you're on a site like the Huffington Post or a site like TYT, you're on a site that does no fact-checking. Not too little fact-checking, not enough fact-checking, not really little fact-checking. None. All they do is gullibly repeat stories and make shit up. Okay, this is why TYT is the laughingstock of YouTube, because if they ever fact-checked anything, they would have way more credibility. The fact of the matter is, I don't think there's a single person in the TYT staff who has as part of their job description research. Not fucking one. They just compile headlines, not even articles. They compile headlines from regressive news sources and then commentate on the headlines and then call themselves news. So that's what it takes to be a regressive. And the reason why all of this together with the clothes, the manner of speech, the viewpoints, and the fact that they are just parrots. Squawk, repetitious parrots. They don't even get to be sheep. They're just parrots. They repeat without any critical thought whatsoever what they heard or the headlines. Just the fucking clickbait bylines that they read of anybody. Or even worse, just the bullshit Twitter feed and or Facebook status of some fucking regressive cunt who also doesn't read the news. Family member, friend, fucking student, or colleague. Because they're all conformists. There's a reason. That's part of the reason why these people are all authoritarians and very they're control freaks. They want to control you. They want to take away every last bit of your individuality and freedom away from you. You have to think like them or you are a Nazi. And it's because they're conformist parrots. They are beneath sheep. They can only dream of being a sheep. Okay? Because a sheep might actually investigate something and then believe it instead of just fucking like if you're a kid from the 90s, do you remember Yak Back where you just go Trump's a Nazi and then you hit the button on it and it goes in a scratchy, shitty recording of you, Trump's a Nazi, and then you can hit it again. Trump's a Nazi. That's all progressives are. I am giving them too much credit by calling them liars. A lot of them are too stupid and gullible to even willfully lie. They're just playback machines. Robots. It's pathetic.